For more than 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter in our community. From our studios in St. Clair, you're watching Focus with Paul Dingeman.
Well, welcome to a special edition of the Focus program. My name is Paul Dingeman, as you know, and we have a special guest about 14 hours away, Miss Sandee Facy. Sandee, welcome to the Focus Show.
Hi, Paul. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, it's been a number of years. I said to you in an email yesterday that last time I saw you, you were coming out of the River Crab with a bunch of wonderful people from St. Clair.
Yeah, it's pretty special. I've been away now about 12 years with my family living here in Melbourne. And every time we make it back, we make a point of going to the River Crab and catching up with great friends.
Well, Martha is still there. She says she's going to be there for another 3 or 4 years. So you got to get back before she retires. But so you went to high school at Marysville High School.
That's
tell
right.
me, take us from that point to where you are today.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'll do a real quick version of that.
Yeah.
So I graduated from Marysville and I went to Michigan State. And after my schooling at Michigan State, I landed in southeastern Florida. And I spent a couple years with Eastman Kodak. And
Oh, really?
yeah, I did. So after that, it was probably about 2 or 3 years into living in that area that I met my now husband, Pete. He was on a bit of a walkabout from Australia. And yeah, one thing led to another, and we ended up being married in Australia. And then we moved stateside and lived in St. Clair for a number of years, about 12 to 13 years. And we have 2 beautiful daughters that are now 20 and 23.
20 and 23. The time does go by quick.
Yeah.
When you went to high school in Marysville, and did you go to high school in St. Clair at all?
No. I just went to Marysville. Yeah,
then
but when we
spent some time at Interlaken also?
Yes, I did. I had a scholarship in Interlaken, so I spent a bit of time there. And I also spent a lot of time, obviously, with the song that we're going to talk about. I spent a lot of time in northern Michigan as well.
Right. So when I first met you, I was with WPHM at the time, and you were singing all over St. Clair County with a couple different bands, right? Talk to me about that.
That's right. So I did a lot for alongside the city of St. Clair. There was a lot of shows that we used to put along the river, which was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to host some of those shows, and I believe I was actually expecting Claudia at one point, which would have been several years ago when that all started. And then I was fortunate enough just to be surrounded by talented musicians in St. Clair County. So we just had a great time doing, normal things that band people do, which is, weddings. And, and I was on the deck at the Junction Buoy for years and years. And also at Riverside, I was always welcomed by Sheila and Ed LaCroix. And just had some really fantastic times playing music.
When you got to Australia, did your music continue?
Yes, it did. Yeah, I bought a children's music business.
What's a children's music business?
Okay, so in Australia we have child care centers, and the child care centers are there's one basically on every corner. Like
Really?
It's very prevalent here for both families to or both husband and wife, mother and father to be working, and the child care centers are there to provide support for working parents. And we provided extra curriculum into child care centers, and it's great. And we do singing and Auslan, what we call Auslan Sign Language. So we taught the children how to sing and sign and dance and have lots of fun. So it was good.
Oh my God. Still do that? Are you still doing that?
No, I that was a franchise I sold. I was a franchisee for 10 years, and I sold that just at the end of last year.
Okay. And then you said, wait a minute, I think I should write some music. Is that what you did?
I wish it was that easy, Paul. It's probably a long time coming. I always had the intention to write, but actually most of the music that I did perform was always other people's music, which a lot of times if you want to be a working band or in a working band, you have to be able to sing songs and perform songs that people enjoy and know and all that sort of thing. So
Right.
it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I had intended to sit down and actually write some music. And it just sadly happened to coincide with the passing of a dear, dear family friend, Natalie Clemens, who was originally from St. Clair, and her family now lives in Texas. And it was around the time, actually it was the day that she passed away, I wrote a song and recorded a song called Hummingbird, which I'll be releasing later this year.
Okay.
And it's a tribute to a beautiful young girl. And ever since then, I've written 9 songs since.
Wonderful, wonderful. You hear about writing songs from Willie Nelson and from other people that they wake up in the middle of the night and they start writing. What's the process for you?
Yeah, I keep a journal. So I write ideas. I have a bit of a habit, a tendency now, where I am doing a lot of reflection. So the concept of Still That Girl, which is, I guess, the song that we're talking about now, because that's my debut single.
Right.
The concept of Still That Girl came from a meditation technique called
Oh.
Thriver. Yeah. So Thriver Self is when you actually close your eyes and think back on a time in your childhood that you were free, you were having fun, you didn't have any responsibilities, and you just were having a good time. And everyone has a different time in their life that this happens. You could be at the beach, on the shores of the beach in Port Huron, or you could be up north in northern Michigan. You could be anywhere, wherever your childhood has taken you. So yeah, mine just happens to be a 10-year-old riding a Honda 50 in northern Michigan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell us that story. You said on an interview with Paul Miller the other day that you used to spend some time up near Cabernet, near Cadillac. What's that part?
Yeah, so it's northwest of Cadillac, up the northwest side of up 115 on the other side of Crystal Mountain. It's a little town called Benzonia.
Oh, yes, yes.
And my mom and dad, like the song goes, my mom and dad bought a place from a hippie back in the 70s. And it was an A-frame house with a tree, legit, like a tree up the middle of the house.
Oh, my God.
And it was it was so close to the river, to the Betsy River, that sometimes the river back in the day would flood, and they built the house up on stilts. So when mom and dad renovated it, my mother was great. Like, she had all this great driftwood, and on the actual tree itself, she had little knickknacks and stuff that she would put on the tree. So, that's where I spent my summers, where most people, obviously, I know you Michiganders, we all have a place that we go that's near and dear to our hearts. Yeah. Right. So that's where I went.
Well, that's beautiful country. When I previewed the video that we're going to show here in a minute of your new song, and it looks a lot like Michigan, doesn't it? Where did you shoot that? In Australia, you shot it?
Yeah, we shot it in Appin, New South Wales, which is in the state north of where I live. I live in Victoria, which is one of the most southernmost state here in Australia, in Melbourne. And so we drove up to Appin, and it was my video producer, Jay Sweeney, who, through conversations and trying to tell him about, a porcupine, because in Australia we don't have porcupines, we have a kid, and what's a 2-track, we're going to go 2-track, and they don't know about that either. So
right.
It was really, really interesting to have that, dialogue before we shot the film.
Well, the film, he was really very well done, extremely well done. Who's the little girl that we're going to see?
Yeah, so she's an actor, and I met her on the day, and she went through like a casting call based on trying to find somebody that looked like me when I was a kid.
Right.
And so we went through that. And so her name, I don't want to mispronounce her name, but it's like Halle Berry, so it's Halle.
Okay.
Sometimes I slip and call her Holly or whatever, but yeah, so Holly Tismo, and she lives in New South Wales, and it was fantastic. I met her on the day. She was a real trooper, helped her learn how to change the gears on the bike, because the bike was, it was a little bit bigger than what she had anticipated. And so her parents were great too. They were so super supportive, and they were fine with her being on the bike and doing, because they really probably didn't know exactly what was going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful. Then the lyrics are from your heart. The lyrics are a story about you and your family, right? So, should we take a look?
Let's take a look, Paul.
All righty. Let's watch the release of "Still That Girl."
Driving up 115 just north of Cadillac, it's God's country. List the sound of the Eagles we were singing along to. Take it easy. Wild were my summers on the lazy river, sitting on the deck of the treehouse. Full tank of gas in my little Honda 50, riding along Long Street, singing loud. Still that girl on a mini bike, watching the tall trees passing by. The way to the house of the porcupines, just down that 2-track, lost in time. Local friends sat in folding chairs, round a dancing fire, drinking amaretto. Still hear the sounds of the laughter down the Betsy Valley, under a blanket of stars. Mom and Dad bought this place from a hippie, this house we all know and love. Tree up the middle, pot belly stove, flowers in some jars. Still that girl on a mini bike, watching the tall trees passing by. The way to the house of the porcupines, just down that 2-track, lost in time. Still that girl on a mini bike, watching the tall trees passing by. The way to the house of the porcupines, just down that 2-track, lost in time. Still feel the magic of these times in my heart. Although time has flown by, we are never far apart. The years have passed and now I'm there. Remember the good times that we had. I'm still that girl on a mini bike, watching the tall trees passing by. The way to the house of the porcupines, just down that 2-track, lost in time. Still that girl on a mini bike, watching the tall trees passing by. The way to the house of the porcupines, just down that 2-track, lost in time. Still that girl and I'm still there. Still that girl and I'm still there. Still that girl and I'm still there. Still that girl on a mini bike. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah. Still that girl.
Well, Sandee, I hate to use the term blown away, but that is such a fine video.
Thank
The
you.
lyrics are great. The views of that part of Australia are great, but it could be Michigan, could be anywhere. And
did our best.
what memories it must make for you.
Yeah, it does, and I am like so humbled by the reception, Paul, that I've received here in Australia as well in Michigan. People have just been reaching out to me, sending me photos of themselves on motorcycles. Some people you would know, I won't mention any names, but some people from Sinclair sending me photos of themselves when they were a kid on the bike that they were on, or doing whatever they were doing, having fun as kids. And really that was the intention of the song. It wasn't about writing a hit or being somebody that I'm not. It's just now I think I'm to the point in my life where I have so many stories that I want to share.
Speaking of hit, little birdie told me, or maybe you mentioned it on the radio interview with Paul. Your song is now #1 on the iTunes chart in Australia.
It debuted the very first day on the 20th of April, which is a good indication that people actually like the song, is if it debuts on a chart, and it was the iTunes chart. So I was very proud. I woke up that morning and I was at #5, and throughout the day it went to #1 that day. And so that was even before the video released. And I think there's around 23,000 views on the video, which
wonderful.
For an unknown, it's all right, I suppose.
So how do people download it? How can they get a copy of it?
Yeah, so the song itself, there's a link on my Facebook page. So it would be great if people could follow me on my music page. It's available on all digital platforms, so you can download it and follow me on Spotify, on Apple Music, whatever form of way that now you get your music. Chances are you can find me. No more
vinyl.
Well, who knows? I might. My album comes out in August, and I'll tell you, I would love to. I'd love to put it on vinyl.
So the song is called "Still That Girl," and that's what I look for when I go to Spotify or anything else. And the artist's name on the record is Sandee Facy, and we've really enjoyed talking to you. Do you want to say anything? Any special people back in Michigan?
Well, like I did on the radio show, I'd just like to say good day to my brother and his wife, that they still live in St. Clair Township, and all my beautiful, beautiful friends. There are so many friends that I have that are true to my heart in St. Clair that I wouldn't even know where to begin. We had plans in June to come back to St. Clair and also visit my relatives in Colorado, my nephews. And unfortunately, with everything that's happening with COVID, the travel thing's not happening this year. But looking forward to it next year for sure.
Well, we'll be waiting for you with open arms and big smiles. So thanks, Sandee, for doing this. And till we see each other in St. Clair, thanks very much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. Bye, Paul.
Thanks for watching Focus with Paul Dingeman. Focus is produced at the CTV Community Television Studios in St. Clair. For over 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter to our community.